Sports, art, and culture are at the heart of every thriving community, and it's important to us that we help build the communities that our dealerships call home. Stop by any of our 6 Oklahoma dealerships to see the Fowler Standard hard at work. We pride ourselves on being friendly, helpful, honest, and fair. This is what drives us every day. Fowler Automotive, a proud partner of OU Athletics.
I'm Oklahoma Sooner quarterback John Mateer. My job is to move the ball down the field and get the Sooners across the goal line. If you've been injured in an auto accident, you need a pro to be the quarterback of your medical care needs. Dr. Martin Lopez and the OKC Car Crash Clinic are your premier teammates to help you on your road to recovery. Dr. Lopez is a specialty trained MD with decades of experience. Make your best play call and contact Dr. Lopez at 405-86-CRASH. That's 405-862-7274 or visit okccrash.com.
When you quit tobacco with nicotine patches, gum, or lozenges, you double your odds of success. So this month, we're giving you more for free. Get an 8-week supply when you sign up with the Oklahoma Tobacco Helpline. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Text READY to 34191. Or visit okhelpline.com to double your odds of quitting tobacco with 8 weeks of free patches, gum, or lozenges all month long. A program of TSET.
You're listening to the home of Sooner fans, KREF, Norman, Oklahoma, and streaming live on the KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Let me read you a stat line real quick. A single game stat line, mind you. 15 tackles, 4 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hurries, and a pass breakup. That was the stat line this past Friday night for new Oklahoma linebacker commit Jacob Curry, the 4-star out of St. Augustine, Florida. And Grayson, you can attest to this. Back in July, when Oklahoma made the decision to offer and pursue Jacob Curry, I was very nonplussed by that decision.
Oh, I know.
My overarching opinion on the Jacob Curry offer and pursuit was, okay. I wasn't sold on Jacob Curry as a player at that point. I suppose this is why Nate Dreiling gets paid a lot more money than I do. Because to this point in his senior season, Jacob Curry has validated the vision that Dreiling had, that Jim Nagy and Lake Dawson had, that everybody in that Oklahoma office had when they made the decision to pursue him. And, of course, at the time, he was committed to Northwestern, wound up decommitting. And, of course, last Friday, as we were on the air from the Omni in Dallas, made the decision to commit to the Sooners over Ohio State, over Auburn, over Miami, over Florida State, and many, many others. And this is going to be interesting to track the rest of the way, Grayson. And we've talked about this before, not for several weeks, but, man, there's a lot of 3-star representation in Oklahoma's 2026 class. There is a bunch of 3-star dudes or a bunch of ex-3-stars. Right, Matthew Nelson was a 3-star when Oklahoma got his commitment, when they offered and pursued him. He's now a 4. Same story for Jacob Curry, right? He was a 3-star. Now he's a 4. And so there are guys that are already getting promoted, if you will, in the rankings because of what they've put on tape as seniors. But between now and December, it will be interesting to see how many of those 3-stars, how many of those Oklahoma commits of the 3-star persuasion wind up encountering and receiving a lot more national acclaim and attention for their play under the Friday night lights.
Let's go ahead and start with Jacob Curry. His pursuit of the football is so excellent. I mean, his closing speed is really, really good. And I don't know if it's how he lines up or how versatile he is, but that closing speed, the way he closes space, gives off this dude could play cheetah. And I talked about it last Friday when he committed. His positional versatility and the ability to do multiple things, I think is such a key in a Brent Venables type defense. And look, I will say it too. Wasn't totally enamored with him. Now, the one I was really questioning was the offer of Matthew Nelson. That was the one that I was like, I don't know about that one. But Jacob Curry, I wasn't all the way on board with it. I'm all the way on board with it now. Kid's good. Kid is really good. He's physical. He's got a motor, and he's got speed to play college football in 2025. I like how he started off his year.
If you want to weigh in on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line throughout the show, please, by all means, do so. 405-651-3439. The show is brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Are you shopping around for a new vehicle? Well, why not a GMC? GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today, all of which are available to you at Dorsey Jones. Also available to you out there at Dorsey Jones, their fantastic service, including half-price oil changes on Saturday. So make the short drive out to El Reno. We appreciate Dorsey Jones and their partnership here on the program. A verified source says, finally came around. Parker? Yes, I did. A verified source is one of the very few listeners of ours that has access to the super secret Textoso line, i.e. my personal phone number. And he and I were texting about this when Oklahoma offered Curry, and my knee-jerk reaction upon watching the tape was, I don't know, man. Like, he's a good player. Is he SEC good? Is this a University of Oklahoma linebacker? And to be fair, we still don't know. We still don't know conclusively, but, man, am I starting to come around on Jacob Curry a lot more than I was when the offer was extended to him back in late July. Really, really liking the eval by Jim Nagy and Lake Dawson and Nate Dreiling and the whole brain trust at Oklahoma.
And isn't that why you have a bunch of eyes on this thing? I mean, that's why you bring in those types of people. And it's also what makes this thing fun. Because somebody can see one thing and somebody miss one thing. And it's just everybody trying to get the best football team together. JW Crunch on the YouTube chat says, so does that make Oklahoma 4-star U?
I suppose so. X 3-star U, perhaps. How many guys in this class are now 4 stars that started out as 3 stars? I would imagine quite a few. There are guys that have been blue chippers all throughout. Guys like, I think even Deacon Schmidt was a 3-star at one point. Bo Bentley and Jake Krell have been blue chippers throughout the process since they received their initial evaluations and were ranked for the first time. Greg and Muskogee wants to know, could you repeat the stats on him one more time? Yes, I could. So Jacob Curry's stat line this past Friday night for Nease High School against Bartram Trail: 15 tackles, 5 for loss, 4 sacks, 3 quarterback hurries, and a pass breakup. Hawaiian Sooner asks, Parker, does Curry have a lot of wiggle to him? No, but boy, he is sneaky athletic. Coach on the field, lunch pail dude, first one in, last one out type. Real culture setter. That's the type of player that Jacob Curry is. Grayson's cracking up over there. He had to shove the microphone away from his face.
Oh, man. No, he's a good player, man.
A verified source says, my early comp was Kip Lewis. Yeah, Kip Lewis, kind of similar to Curry in that when he came out of high school, he was not very physically developed yet. And Curry is somebody that at this point, he's only about 205 pounds. Lewis, his freshman year at OU was 196. So he was even less.
Really?
Yeah. And Kip Lewis, there were some it's kind of crazy to think about now that like this was legitimate feedback that I was getting from inside the program. Kip Lewis's freshman year. It's, man, this kid may never play here. He turned a corner in a huge way after his freshman season. That offseason, 2022 going into 2023, I mean, it clicked for Kip Lewis. But he came in and, man, he was underweight. He was underdeveloped. They packed muscle on him, and he turned into a force, man. They polished the technique and all of the same instincts and natural athleticism and sideline-to-sideline capability that served him so well at the high school level. It's now shown up on the college tape. And the same is certainly possible for Jacob Curry if the Sooners want to make him a full-time inside linebacker. But as you mentioned, he's somebody that you can use as a chess piece. You can bounce him around. He could play. He could even play safety.
He could play a really good safety. And it's to the point when you bring up the comp to Kip Lewis, I kind of feel like making him an inside linebacker might do him a disservice. I feel like he's better used either as a safety or a dude you move around, i.e. a cheetah, something like that. That's just me when I watch the tape.
Brian Bigsby says, with all these adjectives, is this guy white? Shoot, I'm not going to confirm or deny, Brian. I'll simply say this. He's a really, really cerebral football player.
You know I was going to make a joke, but we'll lay off that one.
Oh, man.
You know, a couple of other people on the text line, Papi Chulo, and a texter from the 405 both said at around the same time, can he play tight end?
Can Jacob Curry play tight end?
Yes.
Let's hope not. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. By the way, brand new offer out. And I was going to get to this anyway.
They already beat you on the YouTube chat.
Yes, had a heads up that this was coming. And, in fact, I am told that there's a strong possibility this individual will be on campus within a couple of weeks with the Sooners. Jasir Rogers, 3-star wide receiver. Here we go again. 3-star you. Oklahoma getting ready to spring as Penn State's class falls apart. And actually, this kid is a 4-star on Rivals, the number 195 player in the nation. Jasir Rogers is his name. You want to take a guess at where Jasir Rogers is from?
No.
The state of Delaware. Oh. When was the last time we had a Delaware Sooner? Has there ever been a Delaware Sooner?
That's a question for you in the text line, because I wouldn't know.
Jasir Rogers from Appoquinimink High School in Middletown, Delaware, is still technically committed to Penn State. But as we know, many of these guys are going to continue to look around. And Jasir Rogers is one of those guys that, and this happened for several Penn State commits yesterday via social media. They announced that they are still committed to the Nittany Lions, but are reopening their recruitment.
There was somebody who responded to that, to one of those tweets and said, I dare anybody to go home and try that with their significant other and see what happens.
Yeah, you're not going to get away with that one.
No.
Yeah, honey, still committed, but I'd like to reopen my recruitment to other women. Very thankful for all you've done for me, though. I'm gonna honor my commitment. I'm gonna remain committed, but I do want to hear from other suitors.
I'm gonna go take some other house visits.
Just decommit, homie. Just decommit at that point. A verified source says, please watch his tape. I'll straight up take him over Gross. I did watch his tape yesterday, and he's an exciting player. There is no question about it. And a different body type than any receiver Oklahoma has in the class currently. Because as we've talked about, Oklahoma has been looking for those bigger receivers, right? Xavier Okafuleze is 6'3". Daniel Odom is 6'3". I'm sorry, Okafuleze is 6'4". And then Braden Allen is 6'1", pushing 6'2". Jasir Rogers is, your 5'11", Z slot receiver, more that type of guy. Well, you always need a dude like that, right? You need another. Once Deion Burks and Isaiah Satania are gone, you need to replace those guys rolling the offense too. And Oklahoma's got a bunch of big-bodied wide receivers in the 2026 cycle. They don't have a guy like Rodgers in the 2026 cycle. And he can go. Sooner Dude says, can we get a Penn State lineman? What did you mean yesterday when you were talking about the common denominator when you were referring to Oklahoma's offensive line? It has to be Schmidt and Biedenbow, correct? Sooner Dude, I can't recall what exactly the context was for that common denominator comment. Maybe you can provide some color for me. What exactly was I talking about with regard to the offensive line? Because that's too broad for me to remember exactly what the conversation was. A 918 listener recalls Justin Brown was from Delaware. Justin Brown. That's a blast from the past, man. Was he really from Delaware? He was. Well done. Wilmington, Delaware. Was he a transfer from Penn State, if I recall correctly? I want to say he transferred to OU from Penn State. Started his college career at Penn State, finished it at Oklahoma. That was a decade plus ago.
You are correct. He transferred out of Penn State after the fallout from the Paterno situation.
Dang, so yeah, that was. So was his season at Oklahoma?
Thank you to Drake Dykin for sending that.
Yes, I think it was just one season. Was it 2012? Was it 2012 he spent at OU? That sounds right. 2012, maybe 2013. I think it was 2012. A verified source would like to know any shot we circle back around on Tavion Branch. I don't get the sense that Oklahoma's going to seriously reengage there. I think they like where their defensive tackle class is at. We shall see. Maybe the calculus shifts a little bit as Jim Nagy and the OU staff get the chance to really dive into some of these guys that are going to be back on the open market after James Franklin's firing at Penn State. But the one guy that they are after right now is Jasir Rogers.
Yeah, Jasir Rogers, he can run. I mean, I'm watching the highlight right now because I was just made aware of this offer. There's a highlight of him where the corner is playing an off coverage, about 8 yards. And the corner is backpedaling, and Rodgers just runs straight by him with a 10-yard cushion. You combine that with his size, yeah, I can see how you might like him better than Davian Gross. Now, I still love Davian Gross. Don't get me wrong. I still love Davian Gross. But if you're going to say combination of size and speed, you like that as a plus over Gross? Sure, I can see that. But just give me a bunch of big, fast dudes, I'll take it. Speaking of wide receivers, though, and I know we got to get out of here. Any update on Milan Paris?
I'll be honest, I don't have much new to offer on that whole situation. I need to make some calls on Paris later today and see if anything has changed in that regard. But again, as we mentioned last week in the aftermath of his OV to Oklahoma, that's probably not a recruitment that's going to wrap up anytime particularly soon. I would expect a November decision from Paris because he's going to finish out his OV slate, Oklahoma, Miami, Oregon, and then make an informed decision from there. I was told by someone very close to his camp, he rushed the decision to Iowa State. He rushed the commitment the first time around. Kind of similar to Daniel McMorris, honestly. Like, he wants to get through with all of his visits, evaluate everything, and make the call from there. So that's my expectation with Milan Paris. I don't think we're imminently close to finding out a resolution there. But sources on the OU side have expressed, and they feel really, really good about where things stand. All right, folks. Keep hitting the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. Much more ahead here on The Ref. The home of Sooner fans, this is Locked In.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Knippelmeyer here at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA. Conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma City and 10 minutes west of Norman. With all the talk of inflation, market crashes, and tariffs, it's no wonder we're all afraid to make that new vehicle purchase. Now, with that being said, there will probably never be a better time to purchase your new Chevrolet at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet. No price increase or tariffs on our huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. Or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
You might know that State Farm agent Cindy Nasher has great service. Cindy is your good neighbor after all. But did you know that State Farm has surprisingly great rates too? Yep, that's right. Along with good neighbor service, State Farm agent Cindy Nasher has surprisingly great rates for everyone in Norman. So call State Farm agent Cindy Nasher at 405-307-0500 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements. Holiday season is right around the corner, and you know what that means. Holiday parties. From small events to big buyouts, Heyday Entertainment has the perfect party package for you. Book a bowling party or a play party at Heyday Norman, or shake things up with a pickleball bash at Hey Pickle Pickle, right off of I-35 and Indian Hills Road. Skip the stress and slay the holidays when you party with Heyday. Call 405-310-3500 to book your event today or visit heydayfun.com. Heyday, where you choose your fun.
Would you like to play a more active role in your health? At Hightower Clinical, we believe all Oklahomans should have access to new potential treatment options through clinical trial participation. Our team wants to support you with the best care possible through clinical trials. No health insurance is required. Compensation is available for eligible study participants, and study care is provided at no cost.
Having the chance to go through a trial and find out if something works for them and makes their life easier, I would recommend them do it.
To learn more, scan this QR code and visit our website.
To me, working at St. Jude, what makes it so special is that there's more research going on here. At St. Jude, we don't care who cures cancer, we just need to advance the cure. The heart of St. Jude is to take care of children with catastrophic diseases and to advance their cure rates, but we need to be able to do that for everyone. It's a bold initiative to try and bump cure rates all around the world, but it is our commitment.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Tip-off of the Oklahoma men's basketball season is set for November 3rd, and season tickets are on sale now. Coming off a 2025 March Madness appearance, the Sooners reloaded in the offseason for year 2 in the SEC. Plus, the schedule is packed with games you won't want to miss, as every home conference opponent competed in the NCAA tournament last season. Become an OU basketball season ticket holder today and reserve your seats at Soonersports.com/tickets.
I'm Oklahoma Sooner quarterback John Mateer. My job is to move the ball down the field and get the Sooners across the goal line. If you've been injured in an auto accident, you need a pro to be the quarterback of your medical care needs. Dr. Martin Lopez and the OKC Car Crash Clinic are your premier teammates to help you on your road to recovery. Dr. Lopez is a specialty trained MD with decades of experience. Make your best play call and contact Dr. Lopez at 405-86-CRASH. That's 405-862-7274 or visit okccrash.com.
It is locked in here on the Ref, the Oklahoma Sooner fans. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. Hanging out with all y'all on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line 405-651-3439. Chris from Knoxville on the text line says, BV wore a black hoodie at his Tuesday presser. Gives me a good feeling about Saturday now.
What'd you take away from the presser today?
Man, Brent Venables and Ben Arbuckle do need to get on the same page about the whole Javante Barnes situation.
Yeah, that was...
and the running back room as a whole.
That was interesting.
I mean, they did kind of share similar messaging on Jaden Ott, which I'm not sure anyone actually believes, but they did kind of speak along the same lines in that regard, which was to say that Ott's just, it's not that Jaden Ott is leaving anything on the table. It's just that Torrey Blaylock's been really good. That's the reason why you're not seeing a ton of Jaden Ott, is because Torrey Blaylock's been too good to keep off the field. I mean, there's an element of truth there. No question. But, again, anybody that's been following the Jaden Ott saga through the first half of the season, they're not buying that that's the only factor at play there. But Arbuckle gets up there. And in discussing Javonte Barnes' lack of involvement the last couple of weeks, he has not played a snap in either of the last 2 games. He said, well, it's pretty much that simple. Like, Torrey Blaylock's just been really good, hasn't made a whole lot of sense to take him off the field. And then Brent Venables gets up there. And Brent Venables says, yeah, Javonte Barnes actually hurt himself before the Texas game. That's why he didn't play. Suffered an injury in pregame warmups. And so, look, as far as I know, Brent Venables is telling the truth there. Javonte Barnes did suffer an injury prior to the Texas game that affected his availability. But
of course, somebody's saying the quiet part out loud.
Oh, yes, and then everybody naturally is sitting there wondering, well, why didn't Ben Arbuckle just say that, right? Why didn't Ben Arbuckle just say that Javonte Barnes got hurt prior to the Texas game? There is still a quiet part that's not being said out loud, evidently. And maybe it's just that, like, maybe Ben Arbuckle didn't feel like he had clearance to go ahead and acknowledge the injury to Javonte Barnes because he's not the head football coach. Maybe it's just that simple. Or maybe there is still a quiet part that is not being said out loud. Blake from Wausau wants to know, why is Nagy going after a 5'11 wide receiver when they passed on Mason James? Oh, boy.
I knew this was coming.
Yeah. It was easy to foresee. I mean, the simple answer is because Jim Nagy and the Oklahoma front office, they didn't really like Mason James's makeup. They weren't sold on him as a player. They are sold on Jasir Rogers as a player. As to all of the reasons for that, I think you've borne witness to this in calling Norman North games throughout the season, Grayson. Mason James is a really, really competitive kid.
Yeah.
It gets a little over the top at times.
Yeah.
And so, I like, this isn't new information. I've discussed this before. It's not just that Mason James is smaller in physique. There are other things there that Oklahoma felt like when they made the decision to kind of separate from Mason James. They just kind of felt like, we're probably going to be better off pursuing other options.
Go ahead and finish.
Yeah, and look, I'm not saying Oklahoma's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how they feel.
And I don't agree with this text in the 405 that he's a punk. I don't agree with that. But he can run hot at times. And that, by the way, he didn't get an unsportsmanlike penalty this week against Union. But it showed. It showed. There have been instances where it has been a little uncomfortable with how to go about that. With Mason James from a perspective of me calling the games. Now, is Mason James still a hell of a player? Yes, he is. He is a really, really good player. Good route runner, great after the catch, good deep ball guy especially. But there is that. There is that other side of him where he can run a little hot.
A verified source continues to blow up the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. But whenever I see his name, I pay attention to it because he knows what he's talking about. He said, this kid's better than Mason James, and it's not close, quite frankly. LOL. I mean, again, you can have your opinion, I can have mine. End of the day, your opinion and mine don't really matter. The opinion that matters is the opinion of Jim Nagy and the Oklahoma front office. And what we can infer from their decision to pursue Jasir Rogers is that they share that opinion. They believe this kid is better than Mason James. and worth pursuing with an offer of a scholarship, a committable offer of a scholarship at the University of Oklahoma. Oh, man.
What?
Nagy is also who is so high on Jaden Ott. So Nagy sold on Jaden Ott, but not on Caden Jones. Got it. Great job, Nagy. Yeah, you're not going to be able to dodge this if you're Jim Nagy. Like, this is something you're going to have to wear for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jaden Ott thing is going to follow you. And it probably will be 2 or 3 years before we really get a reliable sense of what this 2026 class is going to yield for Oklahoma. And so it's again, I've said this from the jump. It will be at least a year or two before you really, really start to feel Jim Nagy's impact on the Oklahoma roster and the Sooners roster construction. But boy, the first impression for many folks is going to be the whole Jaden Ott transaction. And that's not a great first impression, understandably, for a lot of people right now.
Jimmy on the YouTube chat says, is Oklahoma linebacker commit Bo Jandro injured?
Is he injured? I can check on that. If he is, I'm not aware of it, but I can check on that. I will find out. Recruiting Boomer says, guess if I changed my name to Verified Turd, I'd get a text read. What? Recruiting Boomer, I promise, sir. Nothing personal. Guess my takes are crap. Thought I was a premier listener. Guess not. It's not that deep, Recruiting Boomer. We love you. We love you. I promise. You're one of the OGs. We field a lot of texts. A lot of texts. A 405 listener asks, why isn't Jacob Jordan playing? I mean, you could ask that same question about pretty much any of the wide receivers that aren't seeing the field because there aren't many of them seeing the field right now. Like, it's Deion Burks, Isaiah Satania, and Keontez Lewis with a little bit of Giovanni Gibson the last couple weeks and a little bit of Jermichael Carter, and that's pretty much been it. You've seen the occasional few snaps for Ivan Carrion. You've seen brief cameos from Zion Kearney, I guess, but, man, Burks and Satania in particular have been on the field a ton, almost exclusively at those Z and slot positions. What are you laughing at?
Two-star J in Tulsa.
Guys, I bet Steely can verify turds today.
Don't do Steely like that.
Oh, man. I did like this text, and I'd be curious to hear your slant on it as well, Grayson.
Okay.
In fact, I'll let you answer it first.
Okay, go ahead.
This listener in Tennessee asked, Parker, what do you realistically think needs to happen for Oklahoma to win a national championship? No BS. Well, I'll let you address this question first.
Ooh.
And we'll assume that this listener means sometime in the future, i.e. not 2025. If you are referring to 2025 specifically, do let us know. We're going to operate under the assumption that you're just talking about what does this program need to do to win a future national title under Brent Venables. So, operating under that assumption, Grayson, your belief is what?
Well, the defense is always going to be good. So, no concern there. My issue with this offense is, and here's the thing, because of the defense, you do not have to have a top 10 offense in the country. But can you get a scheme where you can make it easy? Because right now with this offense, nothing seems easy. Running the ball doesn't seem easy. Throwing it kind of doesn't really seem easy because John Mateer's kind of running for his life or in a collapsing pocket most of the time. So if they can get an offense where something looks easy and they are multidimensional with the way that they can attack you, that can be through the run game, through extensions of the run game, but just something that isn't beholden to the theatrics of the quarterback trying to save you. They can be a national championship team because under Brent Venables, more times than not, you will have a national championship level defense like you have this year.
I think it's as simple as this. Oklahoma, and I wrote this on Sunday in my post-game mailbag piece at OUinsider.com. I think this is one thing that Oklahoma just needs to do, period. But if they can do it at this point, I think we're going to be having national championship-type conversations with this program. They have to eliminate the theme of transience on the offensive side of the football. Here's what I mean if that is unclear. Right now, the overwhelming majority of contributors and high-level football players on the defensive side of the ball for Oklahoma are guys that this staff has recruited out of high school and developed. If you look at the offense, on the other hand, the overwhelming majority of guys that are contributing on the offensive side of the football at all positions are guys that were acquired in the transfer market. And so if Oklahoma can get away from a world in which they're relying on year after year rent a player in the transfer portal in order to fill certain voids, I mean, that's what it is, right? Like, you need a quarterback, you go get John Mateer. You need a plug-and-play solution at offensive tackle, you go get Derek Simmons.
Yeah.
If Oklahoma can get to the point where they're developing well enough offensively to be able to simply turn things over to younger guys who are ready to step into larger roles, and you see this on the defensive side of the ball with a guy like Taylor Wine, for instance, or a guy like Peyton Bowen, who's stepping into the role this season that was formerly occupied by Billy Bowman. More often than not, that's going to be a more sustainable way of building a roster, establishing success, positioning yourself for championships than simply replacing 6 or 7 starters every single year via the transfer portal.
I agree with you in theory, but not in the extent. I think if you can do that on the offensive line, that's where you really need to focus that on. I think if you can supplement with transfer wide receivers and a transfer running back, I don't think that messes with the cohesion. But if you can get 4 of your 5 offensive linemen to be homegrown, and then you can have a quarterback that's homegrown, I think you can sparse some receivers in there from other parts of the country and some running backs as well. Because what you don't want to do, you don't want to focus so wholly on homegrown talent and development that you run the risk of becoming Dabo Swinney at Clemson right now.
Oh, certainly.
So you don't want to do that. You're still going to need to use the transfer portal. It's when and where you use the transfer portal in this conversation that's going to make or break with you. So if you can use the transfer portal to get a starting running back, a number 2 receiver, and maybe a solid tight end, I think that's good use of the transfer portal to go along with a homegrown quarterback and 4 out of your 5 offensive line being homegrown.
Burley Boomer says, that sparked a thought. Do we know what the portal ratio is, offense to defense? Good question, Burley Boomer. How about this? We will hit a break right here, and I will crunch the numbers for you. I will tell you on the other side of the break what percentage of Oklahoma's scholarship players on offense are transfers and what percentage of their scholarship players on defense are transfers. So, look forward to that. Look forward to your texts hopefully being read on the other side, 405-651-3439. One final segment to go here on Locked In. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Sound off any time of day on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations, so you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
It's spooky season here at Riverwind Casino, and the monster jackpots are taking over.
Experience all thrills and chills on brand new electronic games.
Celebrate in style as a VIP in a private suite in our Showplace Theater.
game like an MVP when you play with your wild card.
Drop in every Friday in October to win your share of our $100,000 Creepin' for Cash giveaway.
So keep the good times rolling at your favorite haunt.
And we'll see you at Riverwind Casino.
Gudgel Aesthetics provides aesthetic and clinical services to the Norman, Moore, and OKC Metro customers. The entire team at Gudgel Aesthetics consists of licensed medical professionals that provide personalized and compassionate care to each client, ensuring they receive the best quality care and your desired results. They also offer skin and body contouring membership plans that provide savings and incentives. Call Gudgel Aesthetics in Norman at 405-306-5800 or visit us at normanmedspa.com.
The Oaks at Mustang is coming soon to Mustang, conveniently located on County Line Road and the Turnpike in Mustang. The Oaks will have spacious 1- and 2-bedroom apartments with large walk-in closets, package lockers, and even a sparkling pool. The Oaks is pre-leasing for October 25, so don't wait. Contact the Oaks at Mustang on their website, theoaksatmustang.com, to be where everyone will want to be. The Oaks at Mustang, pre-leasing in October. theoaksatmustang.com.
My name is Ariel. I moved to the U.S. at 19. I spoke no English and I struggled finding job opportunities. Everything I have, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and getting my high school diploma at age 22.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Are our love bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
My fiance is a veteran.
I did tours in Korea, Germany, and Bosnia before I got injured.
When Yusuf got out of the military, he needed help getting his disability benefits.
Luckily, DAV came to the rescue. They fought for me the same way that I fought for my country.
Every year, DAV provides life-changing support to more than 1 million veterans.
My victory is never giving up and finding more ways to serve.
He's pretty amazing.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Locked in, Parker, Thune, Grayson, Singleton with you on this fine Tuesday afternoon in Norman, America. I promised that I would crunch the numbers, so I have. We were talking about the discrepancy between offensive transfers for Oklahoma and defensive transfers for Oklahoma that occupy the current roster, and it went back to my comment that I think Oklahoma needs to get to the point where they're leaning on the transfer portal less on the offensive side of the ball if they're going to compete for a national championship and win a national championship. Here are those numbers that I ran down, Grayson, using my handy scholarship chart at OUinsider.com. Now, by my count, Oklahoma has a total of 91 scholarship players. I'm not really sure how that works because the limit is 85. I assume some of those guys are on scholarship equivalents where basically they're getting NIL compensation to offset the cost of their attendance as opposed to just getting that traditional, that officially designated athletic waiver. But 91 total specialists, 91 total scholarships. Here's how it breaks down. There are 4 specialists on scholarship. There are 46 offensive players and 41 defensive players on scholarship. Amongst the 4 specialists, there are 3 transfers, 75%, albeit a very small sample size. Amongst the 41 defensive players, 4 transfers. Unless you count Owen Heineke as a transfer, but of course he didn't transfer from another football institution. Oklahoma is the only place he's ever played football. So 4 out of 41 on defense, that's less than 10% of Oklahoma's scholarship allotment on that side of the ball, going to transfer acquisitions. And one of those guys is Ricky Lolohea, who famously may or may not exist. We have no confirmation whatsoever. 46 offensive scholarships. Amongst those 46, Grayson, 16 transfers. That's 35%. And that's a lot. Really, here's where I stand. Here's maybe where I can unpack the point a little bit better. You never want to get away from using the transfer portal entirely, as you referenced. You don't want to be Dabo Swinney in this era of college football. But you'd like for Oklahoma to get to the point where they are using the transfer portal on offense similar to the way that they are using the transfer portal on defense, i.e., you are upgrading at a position where you're already okay, where you're already good, but you have the sense that you can become great at that particular position if you go and bring in essence, a luxury addition. Because those 4 scholarship transfers on the defensive side of the ball, again, whether or not Ricky Lolohea even exists, we have yet to determine. But the other 3, Kendall Daniels, Dominic Williams, Marvin Jones. Those 3 guys, all starters for Oklahoma, at least on a part-time basis.
Yeah.
Playing a ton of rotational snaps in position groups that are already quite strong. So Oklahoma is using the transfer portal for luxury additions on the defensive side.
Bingo.
They are using the portal for additions of necessity.
Amen.
On the offensive side.
Amen. 100%. Because if you look at, and I'm gonna extend this point too. If you look at the number of key contributors on the defense, that ratio is still down. If you look at the number, here's when it comes to the offense. Don't look at the number of transfers as it pertains to the number of offensive players. Look at the number of transfers as it pertains to the number of contributors on the offense. And it's 1 for every 2 almost. I mean, you get your right tackle's a transfer, your quarterback's a transfer, all the receivers are transfers. Satania, Gibson, Lewis, they're all transfers. Your Michael Carter in there as well. Carson Kent is a transfer.
Yep.
Michael, your starting center, is a transfer. So when you look at that equation, it kind of irons out the reasoning for why is there a little bit, not to mention a first-year offensive coordinator. So it kind of irons out the question as to, okay, why are we still seeing some misfires in certain situations? And it almost it makes you wonder, what does this look like, and what can this look like going forward if they're able to retain their quarterback that they recruited, running backs that they recruited, wide receivers that they recruited, young offensive linemen? This thing starts to maybe get a little bit better.
Several listeners pointing out that I forgot Kendall Dolby. No, I didn't forget Kendall Dolby. I don't consider him a transfer, and maybe I should clarify a little bit. I mean transfer portal additions. Dolby wasn't a transfer portal addition. He was just a signee out of junior college, which, again, in technicality is a transfer, but has never really been considered as such. You play 2 years of junior college, or 1 in some cases, and if you're good enough, you're leveling up. That's kind of how it's always been. Junior college, in a sense, I guess, was the original transfer portal, but Kendall Dolby did not come to Oklahoma via the portal. He just signed after 2 years in JUCO, as has been standard practice for so many guys over the years, long before the transfer portal existed. A 405 listener says, I'm still optimistic about this program. both this year and this year's team and the trajectory of the program as a whole. However, there's one glaring issue that has continued to get worse each year of the BV era. Tight ends. Braden Willis was our last dude in that room. I recognize that we're just a couple of transfers away from that position being fine, but that was the case last year, and our portal additions have not made a positive impact. Has this been a low priority to this point, or have we just struggled to evaluate guys there? I truly don't get how it got this bad. It's a combination of a lot of things. And I will say, to Joe John Finley's credit, he did recruit a really solid class in the 2026 cycle. They got two good tight ends coming in Ryder Mix and Tyler Ruxer. Those guys are going to be good. But, I mean, I really don't know that I've ever been more critical of a transfer pickup than I was when Oklahoma signed Will Huggins. I didn't see the vision there. I still don't. I guess he's played a few snaps this year. I think he's had 2 catches for Oklahoma. But that was a guy that was a non-factor at the P4 level for 4 years at the University of Kansas, and when he hit the portal the first time around, the best he could do was Pittsburgh State, where he caught 19 passes. That was not a scholarship take at the University of Oklahoma, in my opinion. I felt okay about Carson Kent, not because I thought he was going to be a stud, but because I thought he was at the very least a high floor dude.
He could be a capable body.
Yeah, a guy that could come in and at least block effectively, which Oklahoma didn't have anybody last year that could do that. He hasn't proven to be an especially dynamic weapon as a pass catcher, but again, I don't know that was really your expectation for Carson Kent if you were being realistic coming in. It is simultaneously a credit to Jaren Kanak and also an indictment on the rest of the room that Jaren Kanak, after 9 months of playing the position, appears to be far and away Oklahoma's best option. And I like what I've seen with Caden Helms getting more snaps these last couple of weeks after having gotten healthy from that broken hand. I think Caden Helms, when fully healthy and deployed on an every snap basis or close to every snap basis in the Oklahoma offense, could be the best overall option that the Sooners have because he can block and he's a threat as a pass catcher. But in Helms' absence, it's been very obvious that Kanak is the best option that Oklahoma has at tight end. And again, credit to Jaren Kanak. Good for him. He's worked his tail off, as everyone has said, and everyone has attested to, in order to put himself in position to see the field and make a difference for this program. But, man, he struggles as a blocker.
Yeah, he does. He really does. A texter in the 405 said, didn't they sign the #1 tight end in the country and that didn't work out? I mean, they tried.
And they did. And, again, like that right there, we've been over that whole situation 1,000 times.
Yeah.
That's not Joe John Finley's fault. That's not Brent Venable's fault. That's not anybody at the University of Oklahoma's fault. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. And trust me, the Sooners led Devon Mitchell to water time and again. And if a guy doesn't buy in, he doesn't buy in. If he won't act right, he won't act right. What can you do? All you can do is, at that point, cut your losses and make sure that you're not operating under the sunk cost fallacy, which I respect Oklahoma for doing that and just electing to move on from the Devon Mitchell experience because it was going nowhere at a certain point, and it was obvious to everyone that it was going nowhere.
I mean, yeah, all roads lead back to Devon Mitchell, don't they? A texter in the 580 with a really good point, too. Can't let 4-star tight ends from right down the road leave the state. Titus Hawk, Ben Kolar, right in your backyard.
Yep, and the Kolar recruitment in particular is pivotal for OU because I haven't gotten the sense that Titus Hawk is super, super high on Oklahoma. They're obviously a consideration. The buffet jokes are going crazy at Devon Mitchell's expense right now on the Capital Chevrolet text line.
Hilarious.
Oh man, but I will absolve the Oklahoma staff if they don't get Titus Hawk because he's an Oklahoma State legacy, and he doesn't really seem to have a strong pull to OU specifically right now.
Sure.
I do think that pull is there with Ben Kolar. I do think Oklahoma leads right now for Ben Kolar. I would like to see them close that one out, but Nate Roberts, man, he's playing as a true freshman for Ohio State.
Yeah, he is.
He's seeing the field for that program.
Yeah, he is.
And so that one does hurt because he was right there. And you know who else was right there? Cooper Alexander, who wasn't nearly as highly regarded out of high school as Nate Roberts was, but Alexander was a guy that had an OU offer. OU had a chance to push for him, put some heat on Iowa State. They were just kind of half-hearted about it, and he wound up a Cyclone. Fortunately, and I'll give the staff credit, they don't seem inclined to repeat that same mistake with Case Alexander, Cooper's younger brother.
Right.
They have made him a major priority in the 2027 class, which is good because he's the best linebacker that I've seen in the state of Oklahoma in years.
Yeah. Do you want to speed through some of these Devon Mitchell texts?
You go right ahead.
All right, here we go. Greg Muskogee says, how did they get him to water when they couldn't get him away from the buffet table? PA in Del City said he missed the water trough and found the feeding trough, though. God. Cody from Tulsa said he ate instead of drinking. 3-star Glenn from Nashville said the problem is he led himself to the buffet table too much.
The modern-day Mo Dampier, folks.
Oh, God. Texter the 405 says, Devon Mitchell follows me on his spam Instagram account. I can assure you that dude has never been focused on football.
He has a spam Instagram account?
Good Lord.
Oh, brother. He did record his first career catch at the University of Louisville earlier this season. So he is, at the very least, recording statistics for them, which is more than he did at the University of Oklahoma. All right, folks, we are done. It is a wrap on this Tuesday edition of Locked In. Thanks for hanging with us. It's been a fun hour, as it always is. We will do it all again tomorrow. Same time, same place on these here airwaves. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. Coming up next, we're going to turn things over to Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman for 3 more hours of OU sports talk. Buffet jokes?
4-star Sooner Bump. His first career catch was a hot dog.
All right.
We'll see you tomorrow.
We're out of here. See y'all.